Ahoy! The rabbit event is still going on and there are a few reasons to farm rabbits. Maybe you're actually farming for the gear that you can get from it, the mask as well as the chest, the storage chest, or maybe you just want to farm some rabbits quickly for your daily gypsum, or maybe you want to farm it for your activity cards where you need to farm 20 rabbits every time. Now, you can maybe skip this one, but there are actually some relatively easy ways to do it as well if you're interested in farming rabbits quickly. When the event initially started, there was a bit of a misconception going on that there are only a few locations in the map that are really worth farming for rabbits. This is due to all of the nodes being reported manually and many people simply not bothering to report rabbit nodes because they move around anyways and they aren't that important for most of the year. But now we have a much more comprehensive collection of that. I reached out to the dev behind EternoMap and asked him about this, and he added a ton of extra rabbit nodes so we can actually see where all of the rabbits are. And that shows us that there are actually a lot more areas than you would expect that can allow us to farm rabbits. And I want to just show you a few that I think are very good, very quick and easy to reach as well without much effort. So you can have some spots that you can farm, and then I'll also show you some more that I think would be equally efficient. The first spot is up here between Brimstone and Shattered Mountain. There's the crow's nest there at the moment, so it's very easy to get there as well. You can just right around the corner from the rabbits and you can run a very easy loop here. I was running it while someone else was farming it too, and I could still find quite a few rabbits, and they basically respawn when you reach the end of the loop. So this is a very convenient and simple one that I really liked, and you have two fast travel locations nearby, so if you realize, okay, this loop isn't that good right now, then I can just go over to the fast travel point real quick and just go to the next spot from there. It's also something you can quickly do before an elite chest run starts if you happen to participate in that anyways. By the way, what you can see in the corner here is not an overlay, it is actually a recording of my second screen where I'm using the EternoMap to display my location. Very useful. If you connect the Overwolf app with the EternoMap, then you will be able to do the same. In Shattered Mountain in the east we also have a longer route, and this is one that is also easily farmable by multiple people without much bother, honestly. You can kind of roam towards the east first. I like to put a tent down in the middle so that I can die at the end and then go back up to the other side. And on both sides you will find plenty of rabbits, as well as some other high tier resources which are nice to gather along the way as well, some star metal and stuff like that. So it's generally a useful location if you are looking for high tier, for tier 5 materials and some tier 4 materials. You will have to deal with some corrupted portals and you have to do some kiting with some of the mobs, but that shouldn't really be a problem if you're half decently geared level 60. On top of the rabbits, I've also marked the Prisma Bloom spots on the map here. Those are usually worth picking up as well. On some servers they will actually sell for quite a decent amount. Another location I very much like is Great Cleave. Once again, you can kinda land on the fast travel point by the bridge and you will be right next to the first group of rabbits. But again, there are so many rabbits here and so many different loops you can do that you can have a lot of people running this. You can easily have 4 to 5 people running this loop and you will still not run out of rabbits. What you can also see is that there is white Prisma Bloom kind of around the route, which is, again, a nice little extra bonus if you want to pick that up. And there are also a lot of nice resources here. I especially like to farm this place because there are wolves here that drop thick hide, which I usually can't be bothered farming. I don't like sitting on the boar farm, but this is a nice way to do something whenever there are no rabbits to catch for a second. Just grab a wolf in between, get some thick hide, get some silkweed, all of these in-between stage materials that no one ever really has, and then you have the lower tier material sitting around and the higher tier material sitting around, but not the in-between. So I really like this spot for that. In the south area here, there are also a ton of soul motes that you can get along with that. So really not a bad spot. And on this route in particular, I want to point out that even though there have been a lot of rabbits added, there are still more rabbits than the map shows, so kind of go by your radar. What I do is I like to walk around with the tracking enabled so that I can kind of see where I'm going, where the mobs are relative to me or the rabbit spawns are, but then also look at the radar on my screen to make sure I see any rabbits that may be nearby that may not be shown as a node or may not be in the exact location of where the node is shown. Edengrove has some nice spots that you can farm on the way while doing something else. One of these spots is around here towards the west, where you have that little track for the Flamecore farm, and just around that track there are quite a few rabbits that you can just kind of take along the way if you're going down there anyways, for some extra progress on your activity cards. And in the east side we have the teleporter near the arena. You can see that there's a rabbit trail around kind of here as well. And this one is in the area where all the strange boars are, which is a very nice place if you either get a skinning activity card or a gather tier 5 resource nodes activity card, which can also be used with skinning. So if you're down there anyways, just pick up some rabbits while you're at it. Now, other than that, we have a lot of the obvious hotspots. For example, we have Morningdale, north and south, but I would imagine that at least the south on most servers will be relatively farmed because it's one of those places that was fairly known from the start to have a lot of rabbits. But if it's not on your server, then it's most definitely a very nice trail to run. We have the similar situation if we go down, especially to Everfall. Everfall is just an area where everyone knows that the rabbits are, so a lot of people are farming them too. But again, if your server is not that farmed, that's a decent place to be. I also like the spot over here in Evanscale Reach. You are kind of close to town. You can kind of pick up quite a few rabbits in the swamp here. Not quite as many as in some other areas, but also not usually as farmed in comparison. The Winterport Northeast area is probably usually farmed on most servers, but it is also a nice place to level a musket if you haven't done that yet, so you can kind of do two things at once. One area that I went to a lot in the beginning is First Light. Now this spot down here near town is usually pretty farmed because that's close to town. But the second spot up here, basically the entire way up here is a trail full of rabbits as well. None of them are on the map, but there's rabbits everywhere around here. So you can kind of do that trail up and then go around closer towards Cutlass Keys. And that's a big rabbit hotspot too. And that one I rarely find to be farmed by more than one person, and usually you can at least grab a few there. Likewise, the spot to the east is one that's nice to do if you're doing a faction control mission or faction control activity card. Now the Reekwater trail is fairly known, but it's again one that has such quick spawns that you can farm it with multiple people. Basically you go up from town and then you go all the way around here. Just follow this pathway and you will find a lot of rabbits along the way. And likewise you have a relatively large collection towards the very south. The spot that I rarely find found in comparison is the one in the east. This has less rabbits in comparison, so that's probably why not as many people go there. But it's near a fast travel point, and there are also quite a few other nice resources around here. For example, you can do some PvP missions here if you have those, or you can gather a lot of the motes and everything that is in this area. So there are a lot of other resources here that are again worth farming for other reasons, and you just pick up the rabbits along with it. So generally speaking, while Rabbit Island may be the most concentrated spot for rabbits, it's by far not the best farm spot because once you do one loop around it, the respawns aren't nearly quick enough compared to other places, and it's just not enough rabbits and everyone goes there to farm. So a lot of nice spots that you can easily find now, and if you want to see all of those farm spots, then I linked a tournament map down below, the referral link, so you can check that out for yourself. And I can definitely recommend using the app. If you use the app, it'll show you your location on the other screen, so you can track very easily where you are relative to the rabbits. In the next days we have a mutated expedition guide updated for the new patch and all the changes. If you're interested in that, consider subscribing and clicking the bell. If you'd like to support me further, you can do so on Patreon, like these lovely people who already do that. Thank you guys for that. And thank you for watching. SLOTH out.